that's it. We just want to win for our team.
My goodness!
Yeah, we're just as good as the men. We're better.
It's a huge point for the Bay Area.
Good chance that's the #1 highlight of the week.
And welcome back to day number 2. It is week number 8 of MLTT Major League Table Tennis, and we're coming to you live from Davie, Florida in Broward Table Tennis Club. We've got a lot to look forward to, but first, let me bring in the umpires, the officials. First, Bill Engelbreth and June Amon. And the first team battling today, they're number 3 in the league with a big upset last night. Put your hands together for Princeton Revolution! And their opponents in 4th place with a big upset over the #1 team in the East Division last night. Make some noise for Chicago Wind! And now that all of the Warriors have entered the arena, it's time to shake some hands and slap some skins and let the games begin.
It is day 2 of this January East Division weekend of Major League Table Tennis, and our Saturday doubleheader begins with the Chicago Wind and the Princeton Revolution here at the Broward Table Tennis Club in Hollywood, Florida. We returned to Florida for the 2024 second half part of this MLTT season, wondering if there'd be any suspense in the East Division, and I think after last night the answer is most certainly yes, with Princeton and Chicago knocking off Florida and Carolina respectively. And now one of these teams has a chance to get to 2-0 on the weekend. Welcome everybody. Hello, it's me, Evan Lepler, with Matt Hetherington. We were asked to make references. There's your Adele reference right there. Matt, which of these teams, Princeton or Chicago, do you feel is better positioned to build off their perhaps season-changing win last night?
I think obviously Chicago beating Carolina was a huge, I mean, given how far ahead Carolina were in the standings, huge win. And also they're off the back of 3 wins in the cross division, almost 4. So if we're talking about momentum in the East Division, Chicago has the most momentum. They're still positioned at the bottom and they've got to lift themselves up. And this win, if they can get a win here, is going to be extremely important. But I mean, both teams have so much on the line here because they're trying desperately to get closer to the Florida Crocs. And I think this is, you could almost say, the crunch match of this weekend.
Well, the top 2 teams in the East Division will make the playoffs, and this first singles match that we're getting ready to watch is really going to be huge to set the tone, because I don't know about you, it feels like a toss-up to me. I think both these guys are playing at a pretty high level right now. 2 lefties, slightly different styles. Which style do you think has a better chance of prevailing?
Personally, I feel like Damian Provost probably has a little bit of an upper hand. He's got a lot of experience. He's played Jishan a number of times. I mean, Damian used to live on the East Coast of the US, so these guys were playing tournaments a lot. I'll see if I can find some more head-to-head information about them during the match, but Damian just has great control and great placement and one of the things that's going to make a big difference is whether or not he can keep Jishan off that powerful forehand. So I think in terms of placement, Damien playing off the backhand side, if he can get Jishan off the corner, there could be some opportunities there for him to get ahead.
Second singles match features two players who were both inactive yesterday, so Daniele Pinto and Nishant Laaka will each make their first appearance of the weekend. Pinto in the top 10 in the MLTT Power Rankings entering this weekend. Prishepa's in the top 20, playing currently unranked Tim Wang in the third singles spot. And then that fourth singles match between Kaku and Desantalan. Also a contrast of styles. It's going to be interesting to see who can impose their will on the other. And another intriguing mixed doubles match. Kaku plays with Tan, and Prishepa will play with Guan, as opposed to Jishan Leong, who played with Angela in yesterday's Friday match. But we begin with Provost and Leong. This is a turning point moment for both these teams' season, and we're going to learn a lot over the next couple of hours. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. And we begin ignominiously with a net ball that helps Jishan take the opening point.
A lot of this is also going to be if Damien can actually control the first forehand attack from Jishan. So if he can block one back, it changes points a lot. And you can see he's going to focus a lot on that backhand to backhand angle, quick switches to the forehand. When he plays to the forehand, he's got to make sure it's a lot of pressure on the ball.
Jishan took 2 out of 3 in his match yesterday against Mark Duran. Damien Provost took the opening game over the league's top-ranked player, Enzo Angles. Carolina's top star rebounded to take 2 out of 3 over Provost. Remarkable point. One of the best of the year. Jishan Leong. Phenomenal.
Okay, come on.
That's as good as it gets defensively right there, and then turning defense into offense, Matt, from that deep behind the table. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, and he actually looked really good in the warm-up. He was playing very aggressively, backhand and forehand side. I have actually found some head-to-head stats of matches here in the US, and it's 4-3 for Liang Jishan, but he's won all three of their last 3 encounters. The last being in August last year at the Westchester Open.
You mentioned watching warm-ups and saying he was sharp. What are the things that you look for when you're watching a player warm up that tells you whether they're locked in or not?
I think it changes depending on the player, but Jishan, if he's hitting aggressively and his shots are all going on, then that's a dangerous sign for anybody else in the competition. And I mean, he was warming up with Prishepa, who has a similar kind of composed style as Damien Provost.
Even though one's a lefty and one's a righty, you would say they're similar styles?
Just the control style, but I mean, Jishan was just hitting winners past him.
When you were ever warming up with a teammate, would you ever let them hit winners to help them gain confidence?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think during a warm-up, there's a time when you get to hit your big shots and they get to hit their big shots. And
8-4 lead now for Leong.
it's actually been great to see the extended team spirit. So I know Koyo and Wang Jinshen have actually been watching their teammates play the match, particularly yesterday. And also the owners in the team were watching Koyo play his Austrian League match on the live stream this morning. So it's been good to see that team building and them connecting the dots of those missing elements in US table tennis by creating a better team environment.
Lots of new relationships being built, obviously amongst teammates, but all the players in this league are kind of on the same team as well, and the camaraderie between the individual teams, all a part of this first inaugural MLTT season. It's pretty cool to see and be a part of. Provost has saved 2 game points, but he's got a pretty steep hill still to climb. And Jishan Leong takes game 1, 11-6 to get Princeton on the board first.
11-6.
Certainly looked very confident in that first opening game. Very decisive, great placement, but so much power off both wings. I think Provost is going to have his work cut out for him.
What confounded your expectations with what we saw from Jishan? Because coming into today, I think you thought Provost had a slight edge.
Yeah, I mean, for Jishan to win this match, he has to be taking high risks. He has to be hitting hard and looking for opportunities to kind of hit through Damien. So that's a difficult kind of, it's a very hard window to kind of hit the zone on. But he seems to have hit it. He's out there playing fantastic, and yeah, I thought Damien would be able to put a bit more pressure on him and keep him off the forehand, but I guess the game-changing difference in the first was that Jishan was playing great off his backhand side as well.
The barriers in front of the Princeton owners are still shaking slightly after their violent collision last night in celebration after the Revolution won their golden game against the Florida Crocs. We had 2 thrilling golden games yesterday. Chicago overcoming their 3-0 deficit against Carolina in a game that just went back and forth. Big power from Jishan. We saw Coach Eric Owens take a risk in his golden game order, and it certainly paid off, putting Tim Wong in the first spot and then matching up Dan Liu with Hong Lin.
Yeah.
3-0.
This time he's dealing with the other member of the family.
Yes, indeed.
So 4-0, a big and strong start from Jishan. He looks pretty unstoppable out there.
Provost does get on the board. When you're going against a guy who's incredibly locked in, as Jishan has been so far in this match, I mean, what are the types of things you can do to try to throw off his rhythm a little bit?
I think Duran managed to do it really well yesterday, which is to play quick into places you know that will put him off balance. And Duran played pretty quick into the elbow or wider to the backhand corner. Anything that keeps him off his forehand or at least makes him not play as powerful on the first ball. The difficulty is Damien tends to play softer on the first ball. So it's provided some more attacking opportunities for Jishan. It's all about pressure. Damien's got to put the pressure on. Get the ball deeper, get it into those spots quicker.
Well, right since you said Jishan's been unstoppable, Provost found a way to stop him. He's won 4 in a row.
Yeah, so you can see here Provost plays a little bit earlier in the bounce. So he takes just a fraction of time away from Jishan. Looks for that inside out to the wide backhand. But finds the net instead.
Errant return from Provost. Good serve from Jishan. Short and spinny. Second game, a game of runs. 4-0 for Jishan, 4-0 for Damien, and now 4 straight for Leong again. And an 8-4 lead here in game 2.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on Provost's shoulders. Just not being able to play anything that's even remotely high over the net or even a tiny bit shallow or soft. And you can see he's putting pressure on himself to be more aggressive. Hasn't paid off for him yet. Unforced errors on the forehand attack.
A 6-0 run for Leong to set up another cornucopia of game points. How about that? Emphatically slamming the door shut. 11-4, Jishan Leong rips game 2 away.
So game number 2, a similar
Really decisive play from Jishan Leong. The 4 points that Damien got were all in a row, but on either side of it, it was the Jishan Leong show.
And in a game to 11, where it's not win by 2, I feel confident in saying if you get a 4-0 run and a 7-0 run in the same game, you are going to win every single time.
If anyone has any questions, don't be shy.
You should feel confident saying that.
I was just going to say, how do you stop someone?
Yeah, I think Jishan's looking pretty unstoppable here. We'll see what Provost can do in the 3rd game, but right now, I think Jishan just has too much wind under his wings. He's attacking. He doesn't seem that bothered by anything. And when he's out there swinging big shots, you know, he plays one. If Damien gets the ball back, usually Jishan can follow up. We've seen so many short points here. Yeah, I think Jishan's in a pretty good spot right now.
So if you're Damien Provost right now, I mean, are you thinking of a Harry Potter magic trick to try to turn this thing around?
Well, I think tactically it's very important. He definitely needs to find some magic. I don't know what kind of magic he's going to need to
Spell, a
find.
potion. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I personally feel like he's got to go on the attack more. It's a very different game when Jishan is trying to counter-attack than it is when he's trying to attack. So Provost's got to take the initiative, get in first, get Jishan back off the table, and just bit by bit take some of that power out of his shots. So you can see Provost is trying to make that commitment to attacking whenever the ball's long or half long. Spin the ball in deep on the first one. Yeah, so you can see there's a big difference between Jishan when his weight's forward and he's attacking, and when he's on a little bit on the back foot or when he's playing passive. That soft play is not going to do it for Provost. He's got to keep Jishan a little more off balance. I mean, in table tennis, when you look at players with a large amount of power in their shots, it comes from the ground and the balance of the feet and the weight transfer. So the first thing that you have to concentrate on when you're playing someone who's a power player is how to get their feet or their legs a little bit out of position, try and disrupt the weight transfer a bit more.
What does it say to you when it's a game of runs, when a player's, one player's getting 4 in a row and then the other player's getting 3 in a row, then back and forth we kind of go like that?
It's actually a good question. It's a very good question, especially with context to this match. It's about adaptability. So a player's ability to change their tactics and then their opponent's ability to adapt to them. So there's a lot that changes throughout a game.
The game within the game.
Yeah. There's psychologies and mental games and tactics, and table tennis is often a game of short points all put together, and it can also be really difficult to maintain a very sharp level of focus for an entire game. And this is also part of the reason why you have every 6 points the towel break and the players will step away from the table, because they have to be able to reset. They can't maintain that sharper focus for so many points in a row. So yeah, there's a lot of mini breaks and lots of adapting on both sides. Provost gets a counter in. So you could see even here the towel break playing like a role in that changeup. The players stepped away from the table. Provost came back, made a few adjustments.
When you are playing a match, do you have in your mind, okay, after this point, I'm going to the towel? Is that something you're consciously thinking about normally?
I wouldn't say consciously, but in the back of your mind, you kind of know when your towel breaks are, and it is important to take them, I think, for most players.
Even if you're not perspiring?
Yeah, it's just an opportunity to step away and hit the reset button a bit. It's been a closer contested game here in the third.
Yes, indeed. Provost with 2 serves, tied 7-7.
So this is what I was speaking about in the beginning. If Jishan hits one big forehand, usually the effectiveness of his second or his follow-up goes down in percentage. So if Provost can get his racket on the ball and defend the first, his chances of winning the point go up considerably. Damien Provost, 9-7. A chance here to claim the third game.
Serve goes back to Jishan.
Big forehand again from Jishan.
Extra deep breath, recognizing the gravity of this point.
Gets
a gift.
Serve. I think in this third game, though, it's been really clear that Damien has started to neutralize some of that power from Jishan. He's been getting the first ball back. Second ball not as effective, but also reducing the amount of power that Jishan can play on the first ball.
Let 9-9.
That was a let, not a service error. Jishan missed it.
Goes for the big shot.
Provost earning himself a game point here for the first time in this match, trying to salvage a single point for the win. Nope. Provost prevails in game 3. And that was an impressive turnaround with how hot Jishan was through the opening couple games.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the amount of power that Jishan was playing in the first 2 games, basically in Happy Gilmore mode out there, just slamming forehands. For Provost to come back and make the adjustments that he did, I think pretty impressive. There was a lot of momentum going against him. It's the Princeton ownership team, Roger Kang, Andre Liu.
Jishan Leong has put the headset on. Jishan, congrats on taking 2 out of 3 from Damien. Obviously, you guys have played previously outside of MLTT, but this is the first time you played in Major League Table Tennis. What was the mindset coming into the matchup against Damien today?
Yeah, because we played previously a lot of time in Westchester or Ohio before. Always really close matches. But I'm lucky always win 3-2. So that's why before the matches I get a little bit more confident. Also, some strategy I'm ready for before the match. So yeah, ready for the...
Those first 2 games out there, you looked like you were hitting really, really well. There were a lot of short points that you kind of finished off really quick. What was it this morning or earlier today in your practice or during the warm-up? Did you just feel really good going into that? I mean, you started that match straight away from the first point, and
yeah, because for left hand and left hand, previously like backhand, forehand. So it's different strategy, totally different strategy. So I have to try to use my backhand attack, and also he's really tall and he can cover full table. I have to try to change placement and middle to forehand, and also I have to be ready. It's aggressive, but won't be like too much power. It's just quick.
Jishan, you played doubles yesterday. You're not playing doubles today. What will you do for the next 2 hours as you get ready for the Golden Game?
Yeah, it's like yesterday after 1 hour break, when I play Golden Game, I feel like a little bit cold and not ready. But today, I think I should be ready, warm up maybe before 20 minutes.
All right, we'll let you go. Congrats on getting 2 points for your team to start the day.
Thank you.
Jishan Leong joining us here, table side. Not exactly the Happy Gilmore personality. A little more subdued.
on the table, not off.
But you're right, he does like to tee off with some pop. Daniele Pinto has been one of the greatest revelations, I think, of Major League Table Tennis with what he has done the past few months for the Chicago Wind. But Nishant Labaka made his MLTT debut as a free agent signing in Rock Hill and showed himself pretty well in 5-4 in singles. Played in 3 different singles matches, and now has a chance to try to knock off a top 10 player in this league.
I mean, I think coming into this league, I would not necessarily, looking at the total field of players, have expected Pinto to have such an impressive singles record. But he's just played unbelievably well, and really since the first week, he's just gone from strength to strength, and he's been consistently performing for the team.
3 straight for the Italian.
This is going to be a tough matchup for Nishant because of the speed. I think Pinto is not a player that's going to play soft. Nishant loves to flat hit with the forehand. He's got short pips on the forehand, so lots of flat driving, very hard he hits the ball. But it's tough to do when the person on the other end of the table is so quick.
We have talked about Daniele's journey this season. He struggled in the very first MLTT weekend. Went just 1-5 in a couple singles matches. Lost more points than he won in the Golden Game, but since then, he really has been on a roll. He went 6-0 in 2 matches in Myrtle Beach. He went 5-1 in 2 singles matches in Chicago. He went 7-2 in 3 singles matches in Rock Hill. Overall, he's 19-8. That's a nice little bit of misdirection by Laaka.
Smart play. Pinto left-handed, looking for the step around. We very rarely see Pinto playing backhand. Has unbelievable physical stamina and movement to get around the table and play a pretty high percentage of forehand in the rallies.
There's a let. Said it before, both these guys were inactive yesterday. So their first appearances of this weekend. And Laaka says he's got some pop too.
There's that flat drive with the short peps. Big smiles from the Revolution team. If Laaka can get on that forehand, it's going to make it extremely difficult for Pinto. It's a really hard ball to counter because when you drive the ball like that with short pips, it's kind of dead. Sometimes it has, you kind of need to lift the ball. It can be very hard to counter.
Got a pretty good game here between these two guys starting it out. Pinto got off to a good start. Laaka has responded.
That drifts a little too long. Pinto picks off.
7-5.
Easy forehand.
Wow. How about Nishant Laaka?
Second time he's caught Pinto stepping around. He knows Pinto's uncomfortable on the backhand. He was waiting for that moment when he would step to the forehand.
Oh my. There are service errors, and then there's what we just saw from Daniele Pinto right there. Pinto trying to fire himself back up, giving away a point on his serve. 7-up. Another nicely placed shot to the far corner.
This puts pressure on Pinto because now he has to think about covering that
That's three.
forehand corner.
That's 3 times.
Pinto's going to need to dig deep here. This first game is, in my opinion, for both of these players, probably the most important.
Well, Laaka is certainly holding his own. Now the question is, can he get to the finish line? Does Daniele stay with the strategy that he's kind of embraced all season long, or does he make an adjustment here mid-game?
Well, when he gets on his forehand, he has as good a chance as anyone in the league of winning points. Laaka just not quick enough on the backhand flip. Directs the ball right into the middle of the forehand. He's got to play better angles.
Oh my.
Just rip backhand. Sets up a first game point. Soft roll with the short pips, and it's enough. Just totally disrupted the pace from Pinto, and he totally stayed locked on his backhand side. I think Laaka did all the right things to change how Pinto was approaching the points.
That's a big time win and a statement for Nishant Laaka. And once again, we are seeing this Princeton team, whether it's Sonora Silva back in September or Nishant Laaka in December or January, signing free agents that are not in over their heads when they take the table against these other pros.
Yeah, I think strategically his approach in that match was really good. Getting that ball down the line, those redirects down the line. I mean, Pinto's game largely comes around avoiding backhand. He doesn't really want to play backhand. In order for him to do that, he has to step around on the backhand side a lot. But if he's always thinking about having to cover that wide forehand, it makes it really difficult for him to step around, and also really difficult to step around sometimes a little bit early, because every time he did it in that game, he got caught out. So it's a little bit of a mind game now as well.
How will Daniele respond? Can Nishant keep it rolling? Two nothing, Laaka.
Laaka on the offensive. And again, you can see Laaka just really pinning Pinto in that corner. Quick pace.
3-3 as they go to the towels for the first time here in game 2.
You can see Pinto taking a bit of risk there. He's going to the forehand. Helps him stop Laaka from playing down the line if he can play a bit wider to the forehand.
It's the 4th time in the match that Laaka has gone wide to Pinto's left, and even though he tries to set up that forehand, it's just out of his reach. It's been a fantastic tactic. Say that 10 times fast.
Just hybrid it and call it fan-tactic, I think. A bit of an easy unforced error there from Laaka.
Just like last game, not a whole lot of separation between these two.
One thing Pinto's got to be very aware of is the short pips on Laaka's forehand. Fighting for it out there. This is such a big match for both teams. Chicago Wind are already down 3-1. Pinto has the chance to draw things even again, but he needs to win the second game to do so. Very lucky break there off the net. Ball just dropped over.
Finally, Pinto creating some separation.
Yeah, and some space on that step around forehand. Laaka playing a little slower. You can see one of the things that Pinto has done is slowed his serve down. Usually we see him playing a lot of long, fast serves. But Laaka has used that really well to his favor. So Pinto has slowed things down a bit more. Laaka sends the ball long. Pinto 10-6 here in the second game.
It was 5-5, now a 5-1 run. And Pinto has evened up this match 1 game apiece. Is that Daniele raising his game, being a little bit more conservative? What do you think?
I think adapting. There were some tactics that worked really well for Nishant in the first game. It was getting the ball quick into the backhand and fading the ball out to the forehand sometimes. So Daniele had to cover a lot of ground of where Nishant was potentially going to hit the ball. I think he was able to do some things that kind of helped close off some angles, make things a bit more predictable. Certainly changing up the serve helped take some of the speed away early in the rally. But I think he's had to be a bit more conservative and a bit more thoughtful about how he's playing. Usually we see him come out here and play really explosively, a lot of forehands one after the other. He's had to be very conscious about how he's hitting the ball and the placement. So I would say a bit of damage control from Pinto in game 2 will help alleviate some of the pressure going into game 3.
What will the score of the team tally be heading into the doubles? Daniele hopes to tie it up 3 apiece. Laaka with authority.
Off to a flying start in the third.
Was that another Harry Potter reference?
No. This time Pinto pressuring the first ball, looks for the forehand counter. If he can slow Laaka down on the first ball, he has so much time to find the forehand. This time Pinto gets coverage on the forehand corner. Only just though.
Yeah.
Still a great play from Laaka.
Laaka still had an opportunity to smash a winner. Caught the net instead.
One thing you don't want to be against Nishant Laaka is backed off the table once he gets on that short pips forehand. It's pretty devastating.
Players play.
So Pinto out to a 4-2 lead here. Every point is going to help. There's just no way. As soon as you hit one ball loose, it's tough to come back from. Laaka going down the center of the table.
That's a confidence-building rally right there for Laaka. To match Daniele's power and handle it.
There's some topspin kick from Pinto. Gives him the lead as the players switch ends. Just anything that he can do that can get Laaka to play soft on that first ball.
Mixed doubles coming up. Kaku and Tan, Pipa and Wong. It is interesting to see Daniele go to such lengths to stay with his forehand.
I think it's interesting. The question is, does he have to? I feel like if he used his backhand a bit more, just to put a little bit pressure, it's really hard to go after forehand for an entire point for an entire match. It's physically demanding. Your opponent's going to try and shut it down as much as they can. I mean, even a player like Jishan had to adapt and use more backhand. So far, Pinto's managing to keep a really small safety net. He's been about 2 points ahead for most of this third game. Will it be enough? There's the backhand out wide.
8-5.
Well, coming into this weekend, Matt, we talked about it yesterday, about 33% of all matches have been 3-0 sweeps. So far this weekend, only one sweep in 12 matches. A lot of close ones, a lot of real competitive table tennis.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a testament to how much the East Division's really heating up as we get closer towards that playoff weekend.
I agree.
5-10.
It does feel like there's a different intensity this weekend, particularly in the aftermath of the East's performance in Rock Hill, where they so thoroughly dominated the West. There's sort of this kind of unspoken recognition. This is the varsity of Major League Table Tennis, and Daniele Pinto does rally back from a game down to beat Nishant Laaka 2-1. Strong closes to both games 2 and 3 as he wins 11-5 in the finale. And we are tied 3 points apiece on the team tally heading into the doubles. Another close competitive battle. And Daniele prevails 2-1. Daniele Pinto joins us now. Take a deep breath, Daniele. You certainly worked hard out there trying to stay with your forehand. What's going through your mind when Nishant is able to expose the fact that you're on one side of the table and he goes to the other corner out of your reach?
You know, before the match I was nervous because I don't like short pinball to forehand. It's really a typical style. And in the combine I lost 3-0 to Hong Lin, so I was scared about this match. And I didn't expect he was flicking so good to my forehand, so this made me nervous. What I've tried to do is just serving more half-long and trying to stepping around and catching forehand.
Yeah, and if you look back on the match in hindsight, do you think that in certain situations you could have used more backhand, maybe to your advantage, just to take some of that pressure off your forehand play? I mean, I know your style really revolves around chasing the forehand wherever it goes on the court, but he seemed to play really well and kind of take you out of your rhythm a bit.
Yeah, you know, sometimes I don't trust my backhand, but my teammates always say that it's very uncomfortable because the ball comes low with strange spin. So, yeah, this match was the proof that I can play sometimes backhand to win the point.
Daniele, have you surprised yourself with your performance over these past few months in Major League Table Tennis?
Yeah, I'm really happy about my performance. And what I want to do now is to go take rating and play with A-B players because I really want to make this. So this is what I'm trying to do, to win all the matches to go up. Yeah.
Daniele now 21-9 in 10 singles matches from a game standpoint. Congrats on coming back to take 2 points for your team today. We will see you in the Golden Game in a little bit.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniele. Daniele will turn 25 years old in 13 days. So he's got a birthday coming up. Meanwhile, we are set for doubles. Kaku and Wong and Tan versus Pipa and Guan. And every time you see the Princeton doubles duo There's a different stylistic dynamic because of Angela Guan's chopping pedigree.
1-1.
We're seeing Kaku and Tan for the second straight day. The only sweep so far this weekend was Kaku and Tan getting swept by Enzo and Hong Lin.
I mean, they have had some good matches together. I think in Chicago, they played really well together. It's an interesting dynamic. I feel like the fierceness that they both bring to the table gels well together. I said this yesterday as well. Whereas Prashepa and Guan are very calm and collected, and you can kind of see them calculating more. So very interesting team dynamics at play here from both sides. I would definitely say that for me, my personal feeling is that Prashepa and Guan are a stronger doubles pairing than Guan and Jishan Leong. Mainly because Prashepa does a better job of holding the mid-distance from the table. I think typically we see Jishan get pushed back as Angela moves back to play defense. And he doesn't fare as well from back there. Like you can see, even when Kaku's going for a big attack, Prashepa really holds his ground. Emily Tan, for me, has really been one of the players in the league that has kind of brought me the most joy to watch.
What a point. That's great stuff.
I think just the spirit that she's brought to the table, she's always happy to be playing, always competitive. You always hear her cheering for her teammates on the bench. She's been so much fun in the post-game interviews, and it's been really great to have her in Major League Table Tennis, and again, having those young players from the US being part of this experience.
She's not the youngest in the league, but she's the youngest in the East Division. Emily Tan, just 17, senior in high school. Think about what you were worried about as a senior in high school. And for most people, it's not getting your homework done so you can travel across the country to be a professional athlete.
You know what I was worrying about in my last year of high school?
What was that?
Where I was going to go to college so that I could get the most table tennis training in.
Worked out all right.
Yeah, I'm the old dinosaur sitting up here watching other people play professional.
What type of dinosaur are you?
An old one.
You're not a T-Rex, though.
Thanks. I don't know what that
You're
means.
nicer than a T-Rex. You're like a Brontosaurus. But you're not that tall. I don't know. Well, we got to think about this. We'll explore all of Jurassic Park and figure out which one most resembles you. I haven't experienced your poisonous flair, if it exists, yet.
In table tennis or just in general?
In life.
Oh.
You don't seem all that poisonous to me like a velociraptor, but you know, maybe deep down you could surprise me. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't scratched that.
It'll be a shock to you when it happens. Right now, Guan and Prashepa leading 9-7. It's a pretty tightly contested doubles match. Kaku gets the job done.
Was that a situation where you might have wanted to see Angela attack? The ball was kind of sitting up for her a little bit.
Definitely. I think, I mean, if she turns up the attack, I think it surprises a lot of people. You have typically two different types of defensive players. You have more traditional defenders who play defense 99% of the time. And then you have modern defenders like Matthew Desantalan, who are attacking a lot. Angela typically fits into the more traditional defense. But that means when she does attack, it can surprise people. And I think in the doubles yesterday, Matilda Ekholm was really surprised at the counterattacks Angela was playing off the forehand side.
Game point. And Prishepa and Guan able to take game one, 11-9. Talking about Angela's performance against Ekholm yesterday. She closed the deal in the golden game for the Revolution. They were down 16-12 in that golden game. Prishepa got them back into it, and Guan able to finish the job.
Yeah, I mean, I think they both had their moments yesterday at different periods of the team match. Angela did play really well in the doubles yesterday and then came in clutch in the golden game for the team. Prishepa did his bit in the singles, and then obviously winning those 4 points in a row in the golden game helped them turn things around against the Crocs. Kazaku and Emily Tan really playing the more aggressive role, taking a bit more risk. But Prishepa and Guan just, I think they have good balance between the two of them. The rallies tend to flow a lot better. I genuinely think that this is the doubles pairing that the Revolution should keep on the roster more. I feel like, you know, they've tested them and they've come out and played well, but they've continued to kind of switch things around.
You know, it was interesting to hear Daniele Pinto mention that he wants to try to raise his rating to become an AB player as opposed to a CD player. Getting in the weeds a little bit there, but to be an AB player, to want to be the top two players on your roster for that match, and the way the format works, those two players play in either the first single spot or the fourth single spot. You know, Prishepa, there are a bunch of guys who have kind of swung back and forth to being in that AB and CD, including Yevgen Prishepa. You know, right now he's in the CD spot behind Desantalan and Leong. That can create some better matchups in singles, perhaps, to, you know, there's a lot of context that goes into all these records and stats that we're throwing out at you. You know, the top players on the teams are playing against each other. Theoretically, their records might not be as strong because they're beating each other. But that's what the team game is. It's about building that depth and camaraderie. And obviously, you know, you could lose every AB match, but win C and D in doubles in the golden game and be a really good team.
Yeah. There's so many different elements at play in these.
Wow.
Oh, that.
My goodness, we got to see that again. Over the net, it bounced on one side and then landed back on the other. That's a point for Guan and Princeton. She couldn't do that again if she tried.
Well, maybe not straight away, but we'll see.
I guess she's the type of player that would do that more than most.
Yeah, definitely getting that heavy backspin rotation on the ball certainly helps the ball move back when it hits the net. And again, I feel another opportunity for Guan to potentially play topspin on that ball. Goes for defense, tries to take that outside angle.
That's a great response from Prishepa, sending Kazaku to the floor.
Nice to see the Revolution ownership helping him out there.
Emily Tan had quite a look on her face as her teammate went sprawling into the barricade.
Get up, dude, I need your help.
Oh my.
Just blitzes the ball. Well set up from both players.
Tan has had a moment in every game lately where it just looks like she's in complete control. And that catches the side. An apology issued from Guan and Prishepa, but they'll take the point.
We had that moment yesterday with Mark Duran when it comes to whether the ball hits the side or the top edge.
There's still folks debating that around these.
We were talking
rounds.
about it in the van over. It can be pretty tough to judge, but as long as the ball hits the top surface of the table, even if it's only a little bit, then it counts. But if it hits the side of the table, that's a point for the other team.
We've seen both these teams mix and match their doubles teams quite a bit. Do you feel Kaku and Tan are the best doubles duo? I mean, we've seen Provost play doubles. We've seen Hanin, who's not here this weekend, play doubles.
I think these are the best combinations from both teams. I think it's an energy matchup between.
They mesh well.
Yeah, that's what doubles is about.
Two sides of the coin for Emily Tan. She hit some masterful shots, and then there's a moment right there where she gets frustrated with herself in disbelief that she missed it. That's great doubles from Pipa and Guan.
This order is definitely much better for the Revolution. Having Angela chopping to Emily Tan kind of takes the bite out of her attack. She's got to spin slower. And Pipa seems to have the measure of countering that shot pretty nicely. So the Revolution will take the first two games here. Second one, 11-5.
Yeah, much more sizable margin in game two for Pipa and Guan. Now Yevgen's going to have to turn around real quick and play singles against Timothy Wong. Third singles spot. Later, Kaku will return for singles against Matthew Desantalan. Did chat with Matthew before the match today. He said he's feeling a little bit better than he was yesterday. Somehow he was able to take 2 out of 3 games from Daniel Gorak despite battling some flu-like symptoms.
Yeah. I think one thing that might make things interesting in his matchup with Kaku is yesterday he said, you know, he wasn't feeling that well or quite as energetic, so he opted to play more defensively. It'll be quite interesting to see how that plays in against Kaku, or whether he has to attack more. I mean, Kaku on attack is a crazy man at the best of times, so it'd be, yeah, I'd be interested to see how he goes against defense.
It is time now for game number 3, Chicago Wind and Princeton Revolution.
Nope.
Ever colorful Adam Bobrow emceeing the festivities once again here in South Florida.
Chicago Wind players might have gotten away with it a little bit there. You could see umpire's Bill Engelbrecht had his hand on his chest pocket, maybe looking for a card there.
What did they do? I missed it.
He called time probably about 20 seconds before they actually came back to the table, so the umpires try and be pretty strict with.
Apologies, I was a little distracted by the bright colors on Adam's clothing and apparel. I went back and listened to a good bit of the Adam cast from the Rock Hill event. I enjoyed listening to you and Adam together. You guys made quite a pair.
It was definitely a very different experience. That spinning wheel just brought some of the most bizarre experiences I've had in a commentary booth before, but definitely kept me on my toes. Right now, Kaku and Emily Tan are off to a flying start. They need to get in the lead for when the order changes at the half.
1-4.
This time, Guan gets the attack in.
It's a big point right there. Before they switch sides, before the order changes, they switch sides maybe at 5-2 instead of 5-1. That could be the difference. One thing I think everybody in the table tennis world knows, but for the table tennis outsiders like myself, when you watch the spin that's on virtually every ball up close, it's tough to appreciate just how vicious that spin can be. And reading that spin, anticipating it, understanding it, dealing with it. I mean, these players make it look easy, but as you know, like if you and I play together, you would make someone like me look so silly. And most average basement table tennis players can look so silly against these professionals because it's just ridiculous.
She's going to chop, and then and Alex can attack it.
The answer is
Yeah, I mean,
We're about to switch.
it's difficult for people to understand table tennis.
you have a
Stay
ticket.
concentrated.
You just got all of them. If this were Pokemon Go, you'd already have beaten the game because you're catching them all here today. Following this team matchup at 7 o'clock local
Timeout
time,
taken by Chicago.
teams will come to battle, so you can get some refreshments
Been great
here
to
at the
have
food
the
stand.
coaches mic'd
You'll have
up.
a chance to see a really cool mascot forward across. Hey,
Half long is fine.
keep it real,
She
keep
can't
it real.
attack, and she
But
can't
you will see a match
put too short, and Alex
every day of the weekend.
Davie and Provost giving some
Teams in the
coaching.
East
And then we
Division
switch
will
it, but the
play
flag
in
one was
different
perfect.
combinations.
Focus. Let's
So
go.
time has been called. The players will come back to the
Yeah, the point that you raise is really good. I mean, the difficulty in table tennis promotion is that when you have players that make it look easy, people don't understand how difficult it is. I kind of said this once. I think I was just ranting on Twitter, probably, or X now.
Still Twitter.
Saying, I think it's the biggest curse of table tennis is that it's a horribly complex sport that looks really simple.
What quick hands from Yevgen Prishepa. And whereas it looked like Chicago might take a 5-1 lead to switch sides, Guan catches the edge. The Revolution score 3 more consecutively, and they have a 5-4 lead as the sides switch. Princeton pursuing a sweep here in doubles, looking for a 6-3 lead.
This time, Emily Tan gets the forehand in. It's all about disrupting rhythm for Emily Tan. She gets the ball to the backhand of Prishepa. As he said, he's going to be up next against Tim Wong. Singles number 3.
This has a chance to be a really big day for all the Yevgen Prishepa fantasy owners out there.
What a coincidence that you would bring that up, Evan. With a smile on your face.
7, 5.
Emily Tan will be disappointed to have missed that opportunity.
Felt a kinship with Yevgen ever since I met him. Yevgen and Evan are kind of similar. We're both 38. We both have 2 children.
And he's really good at table tennis. Kaku swats the ball away. Still in with a chance here, but Guan and Prishepa holding the lead in this second half of the third game is tough to come back from. They're eager to do it.
You can sort of feel the frustration from Kaku and Tan. We're going to get a timeout here for the Revolution in a 1-point game. These games that have multiple timeouts just take a different feel, different flavor entirely. The intensity ratchets up several notches. Kaku and Tan swept in doubles yesterday by Enzo and Hong.
With much speed. And she will play in your forehand, and you stay close. How do you feel confident to make cuts? Depends where you feel, yeah, just on the table. But if you let me know where, it will be better. Yeah. Where? But it's okay. Where you feel? Yeah. But it's okay. Okay. And you, if you recognize her cut is good, you stay a little closer. Because then it's come the only high ball. There's no power my shot. Yeah. You play good. No problem. Come on. Come on.
So within 1 point, the Chicago wins. They need this point. Trailing 3-5 in the team score already.
Just caught.
And Wong comes back in to try and play defense. Could have been a costly decision there.
You want her to attack that ball.
A ball that's that high and slow, get on the forehand. She's got to be confident to take those chances.
And Tan with a good service return to put Chicago back on top, 9-8.
And that clips the edge. Pipa with the backhand flick.
Yeah. Good fortune has been on Princeton's side a few different times in this match. Will it get them to the finish line against Kaku and Tan? Emily to serve, 9-all. And a missed hit from Pipa with the backhand. Game point, Chicago, to get back within 1. Ten all. First golden point of the day coming up.
Seemed that ball bounce dipped a little more than Kaku was expecting. Kind of went straight under his racket. Certainly more communication going on between these pairs.
Next point wins. Kaku takes it for Chicago.
A risky half-long serve. Kaku just totally swept it. I think that bounce was a little bit higher. Look at Emily Tan's face after that one. So 11-10.
11-10 in game 3. Still 2 points for Princeton. They have a 5-4 lead. Pipa will stay on the table. We'll get to chat with Angela Guan.
Both of these teams want to get as many points in this face-off between each other as they can. Remember, at the end of the day, this is all about, I mean, every point counts, because these are ultimately the points that will decide which teams end up in the top 2 at the end of the season.
Angela Guan has put the headset on. Angela, 2 points for your team playing with Yevgen today. First of all, how does the dynamic change for you playing with Jishan yesterday and then Yevgen today?
I think me and Jishan played pretty well yesterday. I'm kind of used to mixing it up and playing with different players, and they're both very supportive. So.
You've had, I think, quite a good weekend so far. You've got to be pretty happy with how things have gone. You played really well in the doubles yesterday. Talk us through the golden game and how that ended for you yesterday.
Yeah, I think I started out, I lost 3 points out of 4 in the first round, but when my teammates came back, it was really motivating and helpful for me to be at 18-all, and I just prepared for a really challenging next round of golden points.
Angela, we obviously are familiar with your style at this point. It's entertaining to watch. How do you balance your mindset in determining when to go on the attack in a doubles match?
In doubles, it can be a bit tricky. Like Yevgen said before, doubles is a whole other game, a whole other sport at times. But my teammates are very encouraging, and they're like, go for it. Good attack, keep going. So that pumps me up.
What would your message be to Yevgen as he stays on the table to play singles right now?
Yeah, to just like
Crush 'em.
keep going and keep going.
All right, congrats on getting 2 out of 3. We'll see you in the
All
Golden
right,
game.
see you.
Thanks,
Enjoy.
Angela.
Angela Guan off the back of 2-1 victory there in the doubles.
Yeah,
She's had a great weekend so far.
Win or lose, she usually leaves the table with a smile on her face. Right personality here in Major League Table Tennis, and now we're back to singles. You know Yevgen Prishepa. What have you liked about Timothy Wong so far in his time with the Wind? What do you think of Timothy Wong?
What do I think of Timothy Wong? Well, I think he's bringing in a lot of experience, but he's kind of in a interesting place in his career. He works full-time for Deloitte. He started coaching more. That was kind of his foot in the door back into table tennis. And I think Major League Table Tennis has really motivated him to start practicing again. It's been really great to see him have something to work towards and to try and get back up to that level. And it's not easy at this age and at this kind of arc in your career to say, hey, I want to try and get back towards that top playing level again. So it's been interesting for us to watch, and played a great match yesterday against Jeremy Hazin.
Took 2 out of 3 from Jeremy. Won the first game 11-4. But it's Prishepa who's jumped up 3-0 here.
3-0.
How about that? Prishepa showing no ill effects from the Golden Point defeat he just suffered. Coming right back to the table with a vengeance. 4-0.
Certainly a very different match today than yesterday.
They haven't given Wong the point for that last one. I think they're calling it a let. I'm not entirely sure why.
May have hit the net on the way over.
Wong thought he won a point. Instead, he's down 5-0.
Sweating a lot out there already. It's a little humid here in Florida. Actually has quite a significant impact on the game.
Is it slower or faster?
It slows things down a little bit, but you've got to be very conscious of making sure the racket and the ball stay dry all the time. When you're trying to create friction on a racket and the ball's damp, it'll just slide off. So some extra challenges. Tim Wong making a concerted effort to be more aggressive on the backhand side. It was quite funny during his warm-up. He was playing with Alex Kazaku, and he was hitting some really powerful backhands, and Kazaku said he was in top form. He said Timothy Wong was in his top form now in this stage of his career.
Surprise deep serve there from Prishepa. Looked like I caught Wong off guard a little bit. And that's an excellent forehand down the line. Yevgen now leading 7-2. There was a flag in the distance that got kind of hit by a fan, a spectator, and it was kind of waving around one of the big team flags. And that's why Yevgen called a let. Umpires obliged.
Prishepa's been the initiator so far in this game. Straight into the elbow on that step around.
This has been a one-way street.
Wong here has to win as many points as he can to try and balance out the momentum. When you're in a position like this, you know, sometimes it seems like the game might be out of reach, but if you can get back to 11-5, 11-6, 11-7, at least you can go into the second game with a more balanced momentum. So every point certainly counts.
There have been some good long rallies in this opening game, and Pipa has handled whatever firepower Wong has thrown at him. Game points. 11-3. Impressive from Yevgen Pipa.
Yeah, Pipa seems really comfortable with the pace that Tim's setting. Whether he's staying up close to the table and playing more control, or whether he backs off to the mid-distance and plays counter, I think he's just very much in command of the situation here.
It's interesting hearing from Matthias Habasson and Eric Owens, for that matter, after their wins yesterday. You know, these two coaches, I think, have a lot of confidence in their teams and belief that they can beat Carolina and they can beat Florida and they can beat anyone in this league. And the results just haven't been coming, but credit to both Habasson and Owens. They've stayed the course, and these are two teams that entered today, both having won 4 of their last 5 matches dating back just to Rock Hill. But Princeton played well in Chicago as well in November.
Yeah, I mean, both teams have had their moments throughout the first half of the season, and I think it's important for them to note that Rock Hill was the halfway point, so there's still enough time left to go for there to be paradigm shifts in how the rest of the matches play out.
10 of them have already been assigned.
Entering today, Princeton was 14 points behind Florida for the 2 spot. Chicago was 20 points behind, and those are not inconsequential margins, but they're not insurmountable margins either. I'd be very surprised if anybody catches Carolina, but the Crocs are there for the taking, and we saw some shakiness yesterday from some of the Florida players that we've gotten used to see dominate, like Daniel Gorak and Ojo Onalapo. Interesting to see how they bounce back today and what the matchups are going to be. You know, as Frank Arias and Alex Yang, you know, come up with their lineups before the 7 o'clock showdown tonight.
Yeah, I think yesterday, with Chicago having such a strong performance against the Carolinas, it almost puts more pressure on the Crocs and the Princeton Revolution when they come up against the Carolinas as well.
3-1.
After last night, Carolina with 191 points, 29-point lead over Florida.
4-1.
And a reminder that 21 points are available in every match. Pipa is showing his confident rallying ability.
Yeah, he's got Tim's number, the pace. I mean, Tim's really throwing a lot into these points. That last rally was great from Tim. I think maybe he played a little bit down the center of the table too much in that middle third. I think one of Pipa's greatest strengths is his ability to kind of seamlessly transition between backhand and forehand in the rallies. And he gets a really good measure of that kind of mid-paced 70 to 80% ball.
2-5.
Don't want to oversimplify it, Matt, but for both Princeton and Chicago, they need to win Golden Games the rest of the season. I mean, to have any chance to catch Florida or Carolina, they need to win probably 2/3 of their Golden Games at least.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen what happens if Chicago doesn't win the Golden Games. And it has been them at the bottom of the table. And the change-up from Chicago was more focus in the area of the Golden Game. They had a great record in singles from the East Division, but they weren't converting wins, and they weren't converting those Golden Game points. And yeah, Eric Owens said they had to put focus on the Golden Game. They've done that, they've made the shift, and it has converted results for them.
Speaking of a shift, how about this response from Tim Wong? All of a sudden, 5-all. The serve going back his way here. Trying to change the momentum of this match. And he's got the lead.
Long reverse does it. I feel like we've seen that serve done more in this league than in the table tennis world in general. The long, fast reverse.
Why do you think that is?
I actually don't know. It's a really tough serve to control. I know Daniel Gorak uses it a lot. He's probably the player that I've seen use it the most. It's tough to do a long, fast serve when you don't have the kind of rotation of the torso that you do with the pendulum serves. It's tough to get the acceleration to get the ball long without it going high.
Now don't forget this, just start new now. Stop. Come on, I want to hear you scream. Yeah, but I'm doing something. No, you can also do without. Listen that scream. If I lose always. No. Yeah.
Very serious, tense moments. It's got to mean something when a coach can get a laugh out of his player in the middle of an intense game like this.
I mean, it can be really important knowing when to. I mean, as a coach, having a tactical knowledge of the game is important.
The personality of your players.
Yeah, you've got to know the personality of your players. You've got to know when to liven them up, when to give them energy, when to be serious, when to be blunt and like get straight to the point. It's a fine balance.
Message received.
Great serve return there from Prishepa. Comes all the way across to the short forehand with the backhand. Very risky, but certainly paid off. A little more vocal from Prishepa. You heard it from Coach Matthias Harbison. He wants to hear some energy. Or as he put it, I want to hear you scream. He wants some vocal output from Prishepa to get him confident.
Well, yesterday, Prishepa ended up losing 2 out of 3 games to Benjamin Brossier, but Matthias Harbison thought that Yevgen played really well, and all 3 of the games were really close. It was just a tremendous match that could have gone either way.
Yeah.
Between Brossier and Prishepa.
Yeah, it's like Brossier said in the after-match interview. It was a pretty ugly game.
How about that return?
9-7.
That's one of the risks of playing that long, fast reverse is just not getting enough forward momentum. Prishepa sets up a handful of game points here in the second.
Excellent timeout from Harbison. And Prishepa able to finish the job. Miss hit from Wong there at the end. Yevgen will take it. He's got a 2-0 lead. He'll go for the sweep here momentarily. If he can get the sweep, it would also clinch a lead for Princeton going into the Golden Game. And this would be even before the final singles match, which will feature Desantalan and Kaku.
Prishepa looking pretty comfortable. You never know what will happen in the third, though. I think the first two games have kind of played out in a similar fashion to the Jishan Leong Damian Provost match that we saw first, where there were some moments where Tim was able to push back in the second, but ultimately Yevgen had those two runs of points, one in the beginning and one at the end, to close things out. See if Tim Wong has any fresh ideas here coming into the third.
Do you? Do you have any fresh ideas, Matt?
About the game.
About life in general. No, specifically about Tim Wong and what tactically he could do to change the tide against Prishepa.
I think he's got to change the pace. He's got to, you know, he tends to play slow and spinny in the early parts of a point, but I think we've seen him play at a very linear pace in the rallies, and Prishepa's comfortable with that pace. So I think there need to be some more ups and downs in terms of the pace that's being played. Sometimes quicker and earlier in the bounce, sometimes maybe slower and deeper, and then trying to work in those more snappy, more powerful shots. I think also, even looking at that point, wide angles. The first two balls, again, as I said in the first game, played down that center third of the table. It's not really breaking wider angles. So getting the ball out wider, I think, would help him a lot too. And
how about that serve from Yevgen Prishepa? You don't see that too often.
Goes long and fast again, twice in a row. Couple of points converted straight off the serve. This time, Tim Wong really putting pressure on the elbow of Prishepa. That pocket where he switches or gets put off balance on the forehand. Pretty common area to attack. And he finds it again, coming across from the other direction. Tim Wong, 4-2 in the lead here in the third.
See if he can keep it going. By rule, Matthias Habasson cannot take another timeout during this particular singles match. You can only use one in a particular match. You only have two to use before the Golden Game. And each team has one timeout to use in the Golden Game.
Wait for the long. Allez.
I haven't asked you this in a while, Matt, but if there was one rule tweak that you could make for MLTT, either for the rest of this year or for next year, what would it be?
I think something around the Golden Game. I'd like to see a little bit more of the game outcome rest on the singles and doubles. I think we've seen some instances where a team has really been strong in those starting phases, and then in the Golden Game they've ended up losing and we haven't been able to win the match. So
Wong catches an edge, takes a 6-2 lead.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe something like making the Golden Game worth 4 points instead of 6. You want to have the excitement there, and I love that the Golden Game is such a meaningful part of these matches, but there's so much energy and match play that goes into these individual games. It's difficult. It's a difficult balance to figure out. I mean, I love how things are set up now, but
I would be a proponent of eliminating the 5-point cap at the start of the Golden game. If you have an 11-4 lead, you should start 7-0.
Yeah.
I don't know if that. I don't know if that goes to what you're. I mean, that would make it more likely that the Golden game would follow the result of the play,
which is fine. I think, you know, when a team is that far ahead, yeah, the other team should have a chance to come back and win the Golden game. But yeah, the 5-point cap does restrict things. I mean, 5 points in a game to 21 it's a lot.
Do you like to see the third game of a match like this, even if the same player has won the first two? I mean, it changes.
You mean like the?
I mean, what if you win the first 2 games of your match? It's over. You get 3 points for your team.
Like a bonus for winning the match.
You win 2-0 and you get 3 points for your team, and you don't play the third game. Timothy Wong's grateful for the third game right now because he's still got a chance to earn a point for his team. I think it would add a lot of gravity to game 2, always, because one player is playing to stay alive and the other player is playing basically for 2 points in that game instead of 1.
Yeah, you'd essentially, that would be changing it to a best-of-3 match. It could be interesting. It would shorten down the format a little bit. But then right now I think the league is primarily focused on scoring game points. If you switch to that layout, the matches will become more important. There's definitely a lot of discussions that I know the team will be having. Yeah, it's something we could go down a pretty severe rabbit hole with. Right now, Tim Wong is up 9-7. He's channeling some Damian Provost energy here. Sets himself up with a few game points. Tim Wong, 10-8 in the lead here.
I know you think this is just crazy fluky. Do you know where I'm going?
Yeah, of course. Where else would you go?
Let's wait till the end of the match, then I'll go there.
Okay.
9, 10.
I don't think you know where I'm going, but you might. Pipa has battled back from 10-8 down, and we've got another golden point.
It's a golden point with Tim Wong holding the serve.
Pipa lost the golden point playing doubles with Angela Guan in pursuit of the sweep not long ago. See if he can sweep the singles. And he can. Yevgen Pipa, have yourself a day, young man. He's not that young. He's 38. It's all relative.
Tim Wong will be disappointed with that. He had the opportunity there with the forehand. Pipa's placement on that last serve return served him well there. Big fist pump in the air from Yevgen Pipa. 3-0.
Just our second 3-0 sweep in 14 singles and doubles matches so far this weekend.
Sorry, Evan, you had a stat that you were going to bring up?
We're going to interview Pipa.
Okay,
right
yeah, we
now.
better get to that one.
We'll get to it.
There's Jishan trying to get warmed up for the Golden Game as he promised.
Yes, indeed. Yevgen, You're 1 point away from sweeping the doubles and your singles match. You earned 5 points for your team, yourself and Angela. How pleased are you with your performance today?
Yeah, I feel I'm good today. And also I'm happy because long time didn't give interview. And I thought it's time to start.
Well, there was the moment during the timeout where Matthias said something that got you cracking up. What did he say?
She said me just to forget everything and start new game because he was seeing that I have some troubles.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly started out looking very comfortable, and in the doubles and then again in the match with Tim. I know when you were playing it up against Emily in the order in the doubles as well, you seemed to have a pretty good comfort level with the pace. What changed throughout the match for you from Tim that made things a little bit more difficult from the start of the first game to having to win by a golden point in the third?
I think they start to play a little bit smarter. They adapted to our game.
Well, Yevgen, on behalf of all the Przhepa fantasy owners out there, well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in the golden game.
Thank you. See you.
Do you have Yevgen on your fantasy team? I know Sean does not.
You already know my lineup, so
but our viewers don't.
You're just poking at me now.
The Sean and Matt Velociraptor poison could emerge at any minute in my eyes. Let's focus on Desantalan and Kaku.
Yes, let's
because
do that.
These guys both have had some scintillating moments throughout the season. You know, Desantalan, an obvious fan favorite due to his style, his mix of defense and offense, his willingness to throw his body around. And Kazaku's power has completely overwhelmed certain opponents that he has played. This will be the first time that these two guys meet on the table in MLTT. What do you expect?
I think some fireworks. I'm kind of interested to see how Desantalan approaches this match. Yesterday, he opted to play more defensively. I think due to his energy levels and condition at the time, it actually worked out in his favor because Gorak really struggled with the defensive variations, especially off the backhand side of Desantalan. I think Kazaku's going to get a better measure of that, so Desantalan's going to have to throw in some offense, I think. If he just sticks to defense, it's going to be a long and tough match, but we shall see. I mean, there's a lot on the line here. If the Revolution take a 3-0 win, they will effectively shut out the wind. And, you know, a big score line here for the Revolution could be huge. If they were able to get a decisive win here and then come through in the golden game, in terms of the East Coast standings, that would have a pretty significant impact. And of course, on top of that, remember, they don't have Koyo Kanemitsu or Wong Jinshin here, so I think they've performed as a team exceptionally well.
Who needs those guys, really? Top 5 power rankings, Kanemitsu and Jinshin Wong, first round pick. He's had his moments as well.
Right now, Desantalan's off to a great start. The defense is working well. He is looking for those attacking opportunities. Kaku going big on the forehand. And draws things up. You can see Kaku looking for those corner angles, either going to the backhand corner or getting the ball out wide to the forehand corner. Desantalan flips the racket over the red side. Inverted smooth rubber for attacking, usually on his forehand side, but he does use it for the serve to generate more spin. And also the backhand attack.
That's a great point.
Taxing rally for Kaku.
Is that rally much more taxing for the attacker than the defender?
Yeah, I think when you're going back to that same placement, I mean, Desantalan just kind of hung off that backhand corner and stayed back there. It gets really tiring for Desantalan when he's really having to move around. And, you know, actually, we saw better points from Daniel Gorak yesterday when he worked in those short drop shots and kind of played with more control. When you're back at the back barriers, power doesn't necessarily intimidate you too much. This time, Kaku getting that ball quickly down the forehand line.
Disappointed in myself. If I had been a little bit more ready, I might have had a chance to lunge and dive off our platform and catch that ricocheted ball.
I am not paying your medical bills if you dive off this platform.
9-7.
That's on the record now.
And I thought we were close.
Well, you were waiting for that venomous poison, so there it is.
Oh, the rare attack from Desantalan. And that goes to show you how the change of pace can be a factor.
I was really surprised that he managed to get that ball on, given how late he let the ball drop. And Desantalan takes the first game with the forehand counter. Kaku's power hasn't done enough to phase the modern defender from the Princeton Revolution. You can see how comfortable Desantalan has been in that back third of the court. Once he gets far away, he has plenty of time to deal with power, plenty of reach to deal with that wide forehand ball. Kaku has to focus on depth as well. He's been driving everything deep. Nothing short. He needs to move Desantalan around. I mean, one of the major strategies that people focus on when playing against defenders is the different dimensions of movements. You can move a defender left and right, but you have to move them also in and out from the table too. Once you get them moving around the whole field of play, it's really taxing on the legs. Lots of changes in direction, changes in movement.
There was a moment in the fall, probably like middle of the night, where I had the idea of a nickname for Desantalan, and I haven't mentioned it until now.
Well, you still haven't mentioned it, so.
Well, you know what's coming.
This time Kaku works in the drop.
How about the Destroyer? Matthew, the Destroyer Desantalan. The Destroyer.
I think I give that a 3 out of 10.
Obviously, it focuses on his defense. And he has destroyed many an opponent this year in a variety of ways, mentally, physically, emotionally.
I guess. Generally, destruction is not the first thing that comes to mind when you think of defensive players. But certainly when he's on the attack.
Well, isn't a destroyer also like a submarine?
It's no, above water.
Is it?
Yeah.
Never been in the Navy.
No, neither have I. But I come from a country which basically doesn't have one, despite being an island.
So you're saying you would have been in the Navy if your country had had one?
No.
That's a nice shot.
I did almost end up living in Hawaii, though, instead of moving to New Zealand, so who knows? Things could have been different. Certainly would have had a better tan than I have now.
Well, you settled in Jersey instead. Jersey, Hawaii, roughly the same.
Kazaku's really struggling with the variations coming from Desantalan's side of the table. I think Desantalan working in that deeper kind of kicking, sometimes hooking topspin ball on the forehand has given some timing issues and positioning issues to Kazaku.
It's incredible how much Desantalan can make his opponent work and wait for the mistake.
Kazaku's in a tough spot here, and it's going to be a timeout, the last remaining timeout in these individual matches, and it's from Eric Owens, coach of the Chicago Wind.
So timeout called here.
I mean, this match actually kind of shows Eric Owens' philosophy of having a player that's good enough, but just needing him to push.
Just to give you an idea, I've been playing tournaments for 27 years.
Yeah, he's so far away, it's very comfortable. Yeah, like he said, even if you don't push, loop it short.
If you can attack 2 balls in a row, I will buy you ice cream. He knows that I love ice cream. It took me 10 tries before I could do it. The amount of strength that it takes to keep him.
You can't go hard every time. He's very comfortable.
Your whole is to
You have to bring him closer, and then you can go hard. When he's so far away, it's very, he has a lot of time.
Crazy to watch, and he's bringing spin variation with every chop. Sometimes a little bit more empty, meaning less spin on it. Sometimes he leaves the rack.
How awesome is it to sneak inside the team huddle during the timeout? Do you agree with Coach Owens and Damian Provost's message?
Yeah. I mean, this echoes what I've been saying throughout the match, that Desantalan is basically hanging out in the back third of the court. And if Kazaku continues to play those powerful shots, you asked who's more exhausted in these situations. It's Kazaku.
And taking the tactics, he looked and nodded at his bench.
Yeah.
That's the value of a timeout and the value of coaching.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because Provost is playing in France as well, and he said, look, I know this guy.
That point had a little bit of everything, didn't it?
Great recovery off the net ball from Kazaku. Just floated the ball back on. Nice little whip from under the table there.
Wow.
Backed off the table this time, kind of gets away with it there. You know, I thought one of the interesting things that came from Provost and from the Chicago Wind bench was, you know, Kaku is an attacking player. He needs to remain aggressive. It was really interesting for me for them to say, hey, you don't have to drop shot or push the ball, but sometimes you can loop a little bit softer as long as it makes him move in. So, as I said before, it's about depth as well. It's not just about moving a defender left and right. You've got to move them in and out from the table too. Kaku looking pretty good after the timeout here in the second game.
Desantalan back within one. Certainly sounds like the Florida Crocs and Carolina Gold Rush are amping up their warm-ups behind us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's noisy in here.
Some hard hitting going on back there.
Speaking of. Oh, goodness!
No, Kaku
better to be lucky than good.
Flips the back edge. I think tentative, very tentative in the start of both of the last two rallies, but somehow he's managed to get away with things when he's been backed off the table.
That's heartbreaking if you're Desantalan in the Revolution.
It's also heartbreaking if you have Desantalan in your fantasy league lineup, like one Sean O'Neill.
But Sean's pretty rational about it. He understands. He's not living point by point and riding. Oh, wait, no, he's definitely sweating bullets right now back in Portland, Oregon, watching this match. I look forward to being in Sean's hometown 3 weeks from now, where you'll be heckling from afar, Matt. Look forward to that as well.
I only heckle when I'm winning.
How about that short shot from Kaku to take game two?
The double bouncer.
That game had everything that makes Major League Table Tennis so fascinating. I mean, the ramifications of what it meant. The timeout, the coaching, the teamwork, the camaraderie, the familiarity, the novelty, the excitement, the pizzazz. It had everything.
I think one of the most important things there was that Kaku has just saved the Chicago from being locked out of the Golden Game.
Yeah, that guarantees them a chance, regardless of what happens in this next game. But this next game will decide whether it's a 5-0 lead at the start or a 3-0 lead at the start.
I think Kaku really started connecting things together a lot better. I think that timeout, Provost and Eric Owens were really direct with him. And I think that helped a lot. They said, look, you have to do this. I think Provost, speaking from his experience, was really kind of powerful in that timeout, saying, I know this player. He probably knows Desantalan almost better than any other player here in the league.
Yeah.
And he said, you have to do this. It's the only way that you can win.
This game is monumental. And here's why. There have been only 2 5-0 deficits overcome in Golden Games in MLTT history. 7 times we've seen a team come back from 3 points down at the start to win the Golden Game. The last 2 times it's happened, it's been Chicago coming from 3 points down yesterday against Carolina. And they also did it in December against Seattle. Somehow Desantalan is still in this point. But Kaku able to hold off Desantalan's insane effort.
That's got to be one of, if not the top rally so far this weekend. I can only imagine if Desantalan had landed that backhand, things would have gotten even crazier.
Another short ball. Provost points and nods toward his teammate Kaku, helping him out against his fellow Frenchman.
It's so tough to handle that ball when it drops just over the back edge. Kaku has found the measure of his opponent. Desantalan, though, has plenty of weapons at his disposal. There's one of them. Big forehand attack from Matthew Desantalan.
It would be foolish to read every text message that our fun and friendly colleague Sean O'Neill has sent over the course of the weekend, but he did just say something that is interesting. He said Kaku will be spent for the golden game. And I wonder if you agree with that, and if you think that might have any bearing on the order that Eric Owens chooses. Will he maybe not have him in the one spot to give him a little bit of a breather? Or might he, since he's warm and he's hot and he's in a groove, that caught the edge and Kaku points it out.
I could almost see him switching Provost and Kaku around. I think you've got to feel confidence that Provost is familiar enough with Desantalan that he could play well against him. Yeah, I mean, these are tiring matches, but Kaku is a professional player, a career professional table tennis player, playing 3 games. I mean, 3 games is like, yeah, it's a tough
Three
match.
games against Desantalan are different than 3 games against most any other player.
Sure, but he's a professional. It's just 3 games. It's not even a best of 5 or a best of 7 match. And then a golden game, I think he'll be fine. It's definitely taxing. It's physically demanding, but these players are definitely prepared. I don't think Kaku is going to be worn out for the golden game.
5-5 here in game 3.
I think there will be more impact on the end result. I mean, he really wants to win this. I feel like if he loses, psychologically, that would have more impact than the...
fatigue?
Yeah.
What a shot. Another tremendous rally. Kaku and Desantalan pummeling away at one another with the forehands.
Kaku edging ahead again. 7-5, there are no timeouts left from the benches. The players are gonna have to fight this one out between themselves.
And this is a match where the towel breaks are absolutely necessary.
Desantalan getting a quick point there off the serve.
Haven't been too many quick ones in this match.
And this time, Desantalan getting in with the forehand. Pretty steady in the beginning. Carries the ball out to the forehand. Picks up that ball later with a slightly longer forehand stroke. Ties things back up again. Anyone's game here in the third.
Wow. Kaku mixing and matching his shots brilliantly, and Coach Eric Owens approves.
Desantalan did an amazing job of retrieving there, but ball was a little bit too short. And a quick turnaround from Kaku on that one. Desantalan got a great receive in on the serve. Kaku holding that 2-point buffer.
Good serve.
Backhand serve variations have just gone down a treat for Desantalan, especially in this third game.
Huge point here. Kaku persevering, forced to make so many shots, and he stays with it. He's got a game point here to take this match 2-1. Desantalan certainly made him earn it.
Yeah, he's absolutely put him to work in this match.
Kaku 1 and 2 in singles yesterday against Roman Lawrence. And he missed that shot, a chance to close it out. Things get a little tighter at 10-9.
Psychologically tough. It's going to be very interesting to see how the next point plays out after that. Effectively having the match in your hand.
He knows if he doesn't win it here, Desantalan has the serve at 10-10. Kaku able to close it out.
Slight clip of the net there on that last shot.
That was a great battle. Exhilarating and entertaining. And Kaku takes it 2-1. That'll set up Chicago to try to overcome a 3-0 deficit at the start of the Golden Game for their third consecutive match. They did it against Seattle on Sunday, December 3rd. They did it against Carolina here yesterday. Now can they do it again against Princeton? The day started with Leong taking on Damian Provost. And Provost able to salvage game 3, Matt, but it was an impressive performance from Jishan overall.
Nishant Labaka was really amazing for the Revolution. I think the Revolution have played so well in a number of matches. I mean, this doubles and Prashepa following up with the win here against Tim. They were both two very strong performances that really helped prop the team up and present them with a good opportunity coming into this last match between Desantalan and Kaku. I mean, they had an opportunity, as I said, to close out the Chicago Wind from having a chance to come out on top, but Kaku gave it everything.
Let's go to the commish, Flint Lane.
Is leading 9-6. You'll be starting with a 3-point advantage. Chicago, you will serve first and you will pick first. Who will be playing 1 point for your team?
Timothy Wong.
Timothy Wong is your number 1. Who's your number 1?
Angela.
Angela Wong is your number 1. Who's your number 2?
Jishan Leong.
Jishan Leong is your number 2.
Damian Provost.
Damian Provost is your 2. Who's your 3?
Alex.
Alex Kaku is your 3. Who's your 3?
Yevgen.
Yevgen Prashepa is your 3. And who's your 4?
Mathieu.
Mathieu Desantalan is your 4, making Nishan your 5. Who is your 4? Emily, Tan, or Daniela Pinto?
Who is his 5th? His 5th is...
4th was Mathieu, and his 5th is Nishan. Laaka.
So Danielle and then Emily Tam.
So Daniela Pinto will be your 4, and Emily will be your 5. Good luck, coaches.
What do you think, Matt?
That might be the most interesting Golden Game order sequence I have seen since the season began.
Well, we get more of Provost and Leong Prishepa Kazaku is a change of pace. And obviously, the pair of cross-gender matchups with Timothy Wong against Angela Guan, and then Emily Tan versus Nishant Labaka.
Yeah, there was a lot of dodging going on there. So Emily Tan typically not as strong against defense, so they've kind of dodged there, but
see how it unfolds. 1 point for these two players. Wong was tentative for some time, and then he takes care of the winner. Chicago on the board, back within 2. And now it's Jishan Leong and Damian Provost. Now Provost won the last game they played, but Jishan took 2 out of 3 over Damian in the first singles spot earlier today.
Jishan, again, really trying to focus on being prepared for the Golden Game. He didn't really raise the bar and play as well in it yesterday, where he faced off with Mark Duran and only took, I think, 1 out of 7 or 1 out of 8 points. He knows he needs to do more today for the team.
They split the points on Jishan's serve. Provost, chance to tie it up if he can win both points. Wow. That Jishan forehand has some firepower to it. TNT.
Look at the curve on that as well. Just cracked space-time.
Shows you got some pop for the backhand too. Jishan takes 3 out of 4 from Provost. And now Prishepa versus Kazaku. Back in November, these two played a match in Chicago. Prishepa won 2 games to 1.
If you're going bombs against Matthew, he's great.
Picked up a little of Eric Owens' mic there. He's giving a little pep talk to Daniele Pinto ahead of the next matchup.
Well, Prishepa was dominant in the Golden Game yesterday, Matt, but it's Kazaku taking 3 straight from the Revolution on the win's behalf here. One more could tie it up. Prishepa able to salvage the final point and keep the Revolution in front.
Doesn't he just seem worn out, Kazaku, in the Golden Game?
Exhausted.
This is going to be really interesting because I don't know how confident Pinto is playing against defenders, but he's certainly going to have more time to get onto his forehand.
Well, he said he wanted to play some AB players. Here we go.
Let.
2 miss hits from Pinto. Desantalan creating some separation for Princeton.
639.
Pinto brings Chicago within 2.
Really interesting to see Pinto playing slower with the forehand. We're used to seeing him going kind of full tilt against the topspin. And remember, we saw Angie Tan take a win in the singles over Nishant Laaka at the cross division. Now we'll see how Emily Tan does.
Yeah. The Tan sisters have had their way with Laaka.
The pressure is on. And against that flat-hitting style of Nishant Laaka, putting Emily Tan up, not a bad decision from Coach Eric Owens.
3 in a row for Emily Tan, brings Chicago into the lead for the first time in this Golden game.
Laaka's definitely in the pressure spot in this Team Golden game.
Wong and Guan are up next.
He'll take one. Things are tied up. It's 10 points each. As we start off the second round of matchups in the Golden game.
So the 3-0 lead is gone. This is basically 0-0 game to 11.
This time, Tim Wong and Angela will play 4 points instead of just the 1.
Angela Guan goes on the attack after the net ball. And I don't think she's going to apologize too much for winning the point. We talked about how Princeton was down in the standings behind Florida by 14 points going into today. Obviously, the Crocs are coming up against Carolina. If Princeton can win this Golden game, for the moment, they would be in second place, 1 point ahead of the Crocs. Wong takes 3 out of 4.
Smile on the face there of Jishan as he steps onto the court and gives.
There's a lot of pressure in these situations. Emily Tan takes 3 out of 4 from Laaka, and then Guan takes 3 out of 4 from Wong. Leong and Provost back to the table.
Smart play from Provost. There's some pressure on him here. He's got to shut down Jishan and help the Chicago win get back into this. Jishan unloads the big forehand.
These are such massive points to kind of set the direction of the two teams' spring seasons. Winner of this Golden game will have their team at 2-0 this weekend and in great position to challenge the Florida Crocs for second place and the final playoff spot in the East. That'll be determined over the next couple months of competition. Damian Provost has tied it up again, 14-all.
Everything's on the line. Would you expect any less from these two teams than to go absolutely at each other's throats in this Golden game?
Kaku had Prishepa's number earlier. Picks up where he left off, Matt. Timeout, Princeton.
Princeton Revolution will have a little conversation. They made every timeout count. This defense has played impressive. Remember, it's
backhand in point this service. Upspin, hit, and then you wait in point. Because one I lose, cut, it's now bounce. First one, you remember? And I think I make very cut his backhand. Okay, try to this, it will be half long, and then you play with direction. Okay, good. Yeah, you must feel good with it. Yeah, okay.
Prishepa back to the table, trailing by 1. Serve goes back to Kaku at 15 apiece.
You know what? I really feel like this is going to go to a golden point. I just have a feeling, tingling away in my spine, that this could go all the way down to the wire.
Kaku with a chance to take 3 out of 4 over Pipa for the second time in this golden game. But he's long with the forehand. Pipa caught the edge of the table to stay alive. A 2-2 split, 16 all. Desantalan versus Pinto. Now Daniele struggled with Desantalan's spin in the previous foursome. Embracing the Kaku strategy from the second half of their singles match.
I think he executed it perfectly. You could see how much ground Desantalan had to cover. And that no spin push variation with the long pips of Desantalan. Things tie up at 17 points each.
Princeton back in front.
There's going to be so much pressure on Nishant Laaka going into this next matchup. I cannot imagine what he's thinking out there right now.
Big point for Pinto.
18 points each.
18. Laaka versus Tan. If it's 20 all, it's going to be Wong versus Guan that will decide it. Laaka with a flummoxing serve to earn a point against Emily. Princeton by 1.
19-18, and a timeout called on the Chicago Wings.
Timeout Chicago.
You did great. Relax.
What was good and it's normal the first part. You had the contact was more calm. Okay, make sure you are close from the ball. Calm contact. He has the pressure. You play good. It's 3-1 for you. Anyway, you did great. Okay. You have nothing to do. He has something. So close from the ball and then ready, and then you put many balls.
Ready? Go for your shot.
Come on.
19 all. There have only been 5 ultimate golden points where it's 20-20 next point wins in the 54 golden games in MLTT history. Will we see another? Oh, Laaka sets up Princeton for match point. How about Laaka turning the tide? He lost 3 of the 4 earlier in the golden game. If he can take 3 out of 4 now, he will win it for his team. Tan has the serve. And it's over. Tan went for the big backhand and it would not find the table. Princeton prevails for the second day in a row with a thrilling golden moment.
I think this match is going to be the biggest contrast between excitement and disappointment between these two teams. It was such a bitterly contested match between both teams, and it meant so much. This result really meant a lot to these two teams, which have been at the bottom of the East Coast table, but are finally seeing that light at the end of the tunnel where they have a genuine chance to move up into the playoff positions. An incredibly fought golden game by both teams. Princeton Revolution take it 21 points to 19.
And this really puts a lot of pressure on the Florida Crocs in their next match against the Carolina Gold Rush, a team that they've had their struggles with from time to time. Wow, what a finish and what a performance from Nishant Laaka, the free agent signee. Battled Daniele Pinto tough in singles and bounces back from a tough first quartet in the Golden Game to win it for his team. Matthias Habasson joins us now. Another thriller. Matthias, congratulations. What did you say to Nishant Laaka in between his first 4-point sequence against Emily Tan and his second 4-point sequence in which he won you the match?
Honestly, actually, not much. I told him in advance that he shouldn't think about who he's playing against. He just focus on his own game. Doesn't matter female, male, because in advance I had the feeling that he was a little bit nervous to play against a woman. But yeah, in the end he managed it very well, because when it was necessary he could perform and made the right decisions.
And I'm really interested. I found this matchup of the Golden Game pretty interesting in terms of choosing the lineup. What went through your head when you were thinking about the lineup of the player matchups?
Okay, for me it was like I wanted to play, because we were 3 points leading, so the first session of this Golden Game was only 1 point, and I wanted to put Angela there, because I thought we have a little advantage then in the later Golden Game. So yeah, and then I had most of the times to react, and yeah, I think it was good for us in the end. I mean, it was a reasonable lineup, and yeah.
Yevgen Prishepa earned 5 points for you, was 1 golden point away from going 6-0 in singles and doubles. Can you talk about the decision to switch the doubles pairings today, and what you like most from Yevgen's performance?
Okay, I mean, I'm sorry, I cannot tell too many tactical things, but I already told you I'm really stunned by this combination. Sometimes I will play like this again for sure. As I told you already, Yevgen is playing very well with defense girls, and he has some skills in the doubles too, which are against some pairings are effective. So yeah, today, it's all about the dynamic and how the guys are feeling and playing. And today it was, to me, it was a little bit more to put this pairing together. Yeah.
Well, you beat Florida, you beat Chicago. Tomorrow you can take your best shot at Carolina and go for a 3-0 weekend. Congrats on the win today, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Matthias Habasson, the leader of the Princeton Revolution, a team that at this very moment sits in second place with Florida still to play tonight. We're joined by Nishant Laaka. What a roller coaster ride that Golden Game was. I mean, you're not all that experienced in the Golden Game. What has it been like finding your comfort zone, and how did it feel to win the game for your team?
Yeah, I was so nervous. I just try to take point by point and just try to focus on the strategy that the coach gave me. The first one, I think I made a mistake serving long, so I just try to change my serve, and I just try to focus on the strategy.
And in terms of now coming back for a second time playing Major League with the same team, with Princeton Revolution out of the draft pool, as a draft pool player, not having as many reps under your belt as the other players, and obviously not having been successful in making a team in the draft, do you feel a lot of pressure to really raise the bar and try and prove yourself as a player out there? And maybe there might be an opportunity like Sonora had to sneak a spot in a team.
Yeah, I'm just trying to prove my level, and maybe hopefully one team can pick me full time. But yeah, I would like to thank Princeton team for giving me this opportunity. It's been really great, and the coaches also helped me a lot, and my teammates, they've helped me a lot with dealing with the nervousness and the pressure and everything.
What was the feeling like when your team mobbed you after you won that final point?
Oh yeah, it was.
Have you ever experienced anything like that playing table tennis in your life?
No, not really. But yeah, I think this is really that shows the beauty of MLTT, this unique format. You can't really experience these type of emotions anywhere else, and I think that's why we have so many great players here.
That's well said. We'll let you go. Leave it there. We'll see you tomorrow, Nishant. Congratulations.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Matt, put a bow on this one for me. The Revolution, without Jinshin Wong, without Koyo Kanemitsu, they are on the rise in the East Division. Obviously, Florida still has 21 points up for grabs tonight, but they're going against the top team in the league. So, if Florida cannot really play well tonight, the door's going to be open for Princeton to maybe leave this weekend in playoff position.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more pressure on. And honestly, if you look at things overall, this was the perfect scenario for the Princeton Revolution. You know, they were never going to get out here and do like a massive clean sweep of the Chicago Wind because the Wind have been playing great. But to get a good enough position for them to move up, even to equal the Florida Crocs or move 1 point ahead of them, it moves them within striking distance if things go clearly in favor of Carolina tonight. There is a lot of pressure on the Florida Crocs moving into this evening match today.
And the Crocs and the Gold Rush both had to go to sleep last night after a loss, both in the overall match and in the Golden game. So it's Princeton that's 2-0 to start the weekend. Chicago sits 1-1 on the weekend. Tough missed opportunity here in this match for Chicago, facing a shorthanded Princeton team, but the shorthanded team might be the answer for the Revolution because they're playing really well. That's 5 wins in their last 6 matches, and they've really turned their season around since the November event in Chicago. Yevgen Prishepa, Angela Guan, some clutch performances, and it was the free agent signee, the newcomer Nishant Laaka, closing it out. You thought we'd have an ultimate golden point. It looked like we would, but at 20-19, it was Laaka out-dueling Emily Tan to finish it off and ignite the Revolution celebration. You see the size of relief for Nishant. Princeton 21, Chicago 19. We got Florida and Carolina coming up 28 minutes from now. For Matt Hetherington, I'm Evan Lepler. We'll talk to you in half an hour here from Florida.